Hello everyone. Welcome back to English Weaver. Today's episode is about how to share your holiday memories in English. We'll go step by step and keep things light and fun so your English practice becomes more enjoyable. Hey, how are you doing today? I'm already smiling just thinking about holidays.
I'm doing great, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm so ready to just, dream about vacation for a little bit. How's your week been?
It's been good, but definitely ready for this chat. It feels like a mini vacation in itself.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And, for everyone listening, if you enjoy this kind of conversational practice, we'd be so grateful if you'd like and share.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone for the support. It really, really means a lot. Okay, so holidays. Where do we even start?
Well, I think you have to start at the beginning, right? The moment you arrive.
Exactly. Like when you run into a friend and they ask about your trip, what's the first thing you blurt out? Which holiday is on your mind right now when you think about that?
The one that always comes to mind first is a trip I took a while back to the fjords in Norway. It was just completely different from anything I'd ever experienced.
Oh, wow. Norway. I've always wanted to go there. So what was it like when you first arrived? Was it just mind-blowingly beautiful right away?
It was, but not in the way you'd think. The first thing that hit me wasn't the view, it was the silence. It was this deep, echoing quiet that I have never heard before, or I guess not heard.
The silence. That's so interesting. So it wasn't just quiet. It was like an active silence.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. It was like the sound was just gone. You're so used to the hum of a city or a town, and this is just nothing. Just the
Yeah.
occasional cry of a bird miles away. It immediately tells your brain, okay, you are somewhere completely different now.
That sounds almost a little unsettling at first. Was it comfortable right away, or did it take some getting used to?
It was definitely a little jarring. For the first hour or so, it almost felt like wearing noise-canceling headphones when there's no music playing.
Mm-hmm.
But then this amazing sense of calm just washes over you. And the air, it smelled so clean and cold, like salt and damp earth all at once. It just woke up my senses in a way I wasn't expecting.
That's incredible. It's funny how a lack of something, like sound, can be such a powerful memory. My most powerful arrival memory is the complete opposite. It was a trip to Marrakech.
Oh, I can only imagine. So the opposite of silence, then.
The total and complete opposite. The second I stepped out of the taxi into the main square, it was just an explosion of everything all at once. The noise was the first thing. Music from one corner, snake charmers in another, people shouting, motorcycles weaving through the crowds.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to take in.
It was sensory overload in the best possible way. And the smells? Spices, grilling meat, exhaust fumes, perfume. It was all mixed together. I just stood there for a good minute just trying to process it all. My brain was just, scrambling to keep up.
I bet. Did that initial shock make it hard to remember the first few moments, or did it kind of burn them into your memory?
Oh, it burned them in, for sure. It was that feeling of, okay, I am definitely not home anymore. And, the journey itself kind of adds to that. I always pack too much. Always.
Me too. It's a curse.
It is. And I was dragging this huge, heavy suitcase through these tiny, crowded alleyways. And I remember thinking, what have I done? But that struggle, that little bit of frustration, made the moment I finally got to my riad and stepped into the quiet courtyard. It just made it a million times sweeter. That contrast is everything.
That's so true. That little bit of difficulty makes you appreciate the arrival so much more. You feel like you've earned it.
Exactly. You've earned the calm. Or in your case, you earned the silence.
Right. So once you're there and you've kind of processed the arrival, what's next? I always think about the heart of the holiday, the things you actually do. What was the absolute best moment of your last trip? Not a whole day, but like one specific snapshot in time.
A snapshot. That's a great way to think about it. I think for my trip to Portugal, the peak moment was completely unplanned. We were driving along the coast, and we saw this tiny little sign for a lighthouse.
An impulse stop. I love those.
Yes, we just decided, let's go check it out. And the path was, well, it was barely a path. It was this narrow dirt trail on the side of a massive cliff.
Uh-oh. That sounds a little bit scary.
It was. I'm not great with heights, so there are definitely a few moments where I thought, maybe this isn't the best idea. I had to really focus on just, one foot in front of the other.
So what made that the peak moment? Was it just the view at the end?
The view was a big part of it, for sure. I mean, we got to the lighthouse, and it was just this endless, deep blue Atlantic Ocean in every direction. But the feeling, it was more than that. It was this mix of exhilaration from conquering a little bit of fear and just awe. Pure awe at how huge and beautiful the world is. It made me feel really small, but in a good way.
I know exactly what you mean. That feeling of perspective, it's like it resets your brain. Was that something you had to consciously push through, the fear?
Oh, absolutely. There were a couple of spots where the path was so narrow and I just had to stop and take a few deep breaths. But making myself do it and then getting that reward at the end,
Yeah.
it made the whole experience feel so much more meaningful. It wasn't just something I saw, it was something I did.
That's the key difference, isn't it? An active experience versus a passive one. It's funny, my peak moment from a trip to Prague was the opposite in almost every way.
Oh, really? Prague is so beautiful. I'm imagining a stunning view from a castle or something.
That's what you'd expect,
Uh,
right. And those moments were great, but the one that really stuck with me was visiting a tiny, totally random museum, a museum about the city's old water utility systems.
Wait, a museum about pipes? Seriously?
Seriously. I know it sounds unbelievably boring. I almost didn't go in. But I was with a friend who insisted, and I'm so glad he did. The whole place was run by this one elderly man who barely spoke any English.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What was so special about it?
His passion. He was so incredibly proud of the engineering, of the history of how his city got clean water. He used gestures and the few English words he knew to explain everything, and his eyes just lit up. It completely changed how he saw the city.
Hmm.
I wasn't just looking at beautiful buildings anymore. I was thinking about the ingenuity and hard work hidden underneath them.
Wow, that's actually really profound. It wasn't about the thing itself, but about the human connection to it.
Exactly. The peak moment for me wasn't visual awe. It was this sudden, unexpected feeling of intellectual respect and, I guess, connection with this man's pride in his home. It just goes to show the highlight of a trip can be something you'd never, ever plan for.
That's so true. And it often comes down to the people you meet, doesn't it? Which I guess brings us to the next big thing. The food and the people. You can't separate them.
Not at all. They're completely connected. The best food memories are always tied to a person or a specific place.
So tell me about the single most unusual or delicious thing you've tried on a trip. And I want the details. I want to be able to taste it.
Okay. The pressure's on. I think it has to be this dish I had in Vietnam called bánh cot. They're these tiny, crispy little pancakes.
No, I think I've seen pictures of those. They look amazing.
They are. But the memory isn't just the taste, it's the whole scene. It was from this tiny street stall, just a woman with a charcoal grill and a few tiny plastic stools on the sidewalk. And the pancakes. The edges were so golden and crispy, but the middle was soft and creamy from the coconut milk.
That sounds incredible, that contrast in texture.
Exactly. And then there's a little shrimp in the middle, so you get this pop of savory, salty flavor with the sweet, creamy pancake. It was just a perfect bite of food.
Okay, my mouth is watering now. So how did you even order it? Was there a big language barrier?
A huge one. No menu, no English, nothing. I basically just had to point at what someone else was eating and hold up two fingers. It was all gestures and smiles.
I love that. It kind of forces you to connect in a different way, doesn't it?
It totally does.
Mm.
And the best part was the woman running the stall saw that we were kind of confused about how to eat them properly.
Yeah.
There's a plate of lettuce and herbs and a dipping sauce.
Right, it's a whole system to it.
Whole system. And she came over from her grill, and without saying a word, she just took a pancake, wrapped it perfectly in a lettuce leaf with some mint, and showed us how to dip it.
Yeah.
It's a small, simple act of kindness and teaching. That's what I remember most. Not just the taste, but her showing us the right way.
That is such a great story. It's the interaction that makes the memory. It's not just a transaction anymore. It's a shared moment. I had a similar experience in South America, but with mangoes.
Mangoes. Tell me more.
I was at this huge market, and I wanted to buy a mango. I went up to the stall run by an older woman, and I just pointed at one. And she started asking me all these questions in rapid-fire Spanish.
And your Spanish is?
Very, very basic. I was completely lost. But I figured out she was asking me what I wanted the mango for.
What do you mean? Like what you're going to do with it?
Exactly. Was I going to make a smoothie, put it in a salad, or just eat it right then and there? Apparently, there's a different level of perfect ripeness for each one.
No way. That's amazing. A mango consultation.
It was. So I'm trying to explain with my terrible Spanish and a lot of pointing that I just want to eat it now.
Yeah.
And she just breaks into this huge, wonderful laugh and picks out the absolute perfect mango for me. It was the best mango I have ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because the fruit was good. It was because of her, that shared laugh, that moment of connection.
It's those little moments of humanity that stick with you more than any grand monument. It makes the whole experience feel warmer, more real.
For sure. It changes everything.
So we've talked about arriving, the peak moments, the food, the people. What about when you get home? Looking back, is there one small thing from a holiday that you've actually brought into your everyday life? Like a recipe or a habit, or even just a different way of looking at things?
That's such a good question because I think that's the real sign of a great trip, right? If it changes you, even just a little bit. For me, it comes from a trip to the Scottish Highlands.
Okay, I'm imagining lots of rain and beautiful scenery.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing that really struck me was the pace of life. It was so much slower. People really took their time with things like making a cup of tea or just going for a walk. There was no sense of rushing.
Which is the opposite of most of our lives.
Exactly. I realized my morning routine at home was all about speed. Gulping down coffee while checking emails, just trying to be as efficient as possible. So when I got back, I made a new rule for myself.
A new rule. What is it?
It's my slow coffee ritual. Every morning for the first 15 minutes of my day, I make my coffee using a pour-over. And during that time, there are no phones, no emails, no work. I just focus on the process, the smell, the steam, the sound of the water.
That sounds so peaceful. A little slice of Scotland in your kitchen.
It is, and it completely changes the tone for my whole day. It's a tiny thing, but it's a habit that has really stuck with me and made a huge difference.
I love that. That's a really practical way to hold on to that holiday feeling.
Right.
For me, the habit I brought back was from Spain. It's the concept of the sobremesa.
Oh, I love the sobremesa.
Yeah.
Where you just sit at the table for hours after you're done eating?
Yes. Before that trip, I was always a person who would start clearing the plates the second the last person was done eating.
Yeah.
Get the cleanup started, be efficient.
Me too. It's hard to switch that part of your brain off.
It is. But in Spain, I just saw the incredible value in lingering. The best conversations happen in that relaxed time after the meal is over. So now when I have people over for dinner, I make a conscious effort to just leave the dishes. We just sit and talk. And it really does lead to deeper, better conversations. It's a small change, but it makes the whole experience so much richer.
That's a brilliant one to adopt. It's about prioritizing connection over tidiness.
Exactly. Okay, so before we finish, let's look forward. What's your dream future holiday memory? The trip you haven't taken yet, but you're already excited about.
Oh, that's a fun one. I think for me, it would be spending a few weeks in Kyoto, Japan, but not doing the tourist thing. I'd want to rent a small traditional house and just live there, go to the local market, maybe take a pottery class, just soak in the quiet daily rhythm of the place.
That sounds absolutely incredible, a real immersion. For me, my big dream trip is the Trans-Siberian Railway.
Wow, that's epic.
I know it's a huge undertaking, but I love the idea of a long, slow journey where the travel itself is the experience. Just watching the world change outside the window for days on end, I think it would be a really meditative, reflective experience.
Well, I hope we both get to have those experiences soon.
Me too. And then we can talk all about them.
Of course. Before we wrap up, there are maybe a couple of quick tips that come to mind from our chat. For me, one thing that really helps when you're telling a story is to mention the time of year or the weather.
Oh, that's a really good one. Why do you think that helps so much?
I just think it adds immediate atmosphere. If you say, I remember that beach trip, but it was raining the entire time, it instantly creates a totally different picture and mood. It makes the story feel more real and specific.
That's so true. It gives it context.
Mm.
My tip would be about the words you use. Try to use more active, exciting verbs. So instead of saying, we went to the museum, you could say, we explored the museum, or we discovered this amazing little museum.
I love that. It gives the story more energy. We scrambled up the cliff sounds a lot more exciting than we walked up the path.
Exactly. It just brings the memory to life a little bit more for you and for the person you're telling.
Well, this has been so much fun. We've talked about everything from the shock of arrival to the little habits that we bring home with us.
Yeah, and we really encourage you listening to think about your own holiday memories in this way. What was your peak moment? What was the best thing you ate, and who were you with?
Thank you so much for joining today's discussion. We really love having these conversations and thinking about how to share our experiences.
And remember, practicing every day, even just by listening to a conversation like this, can make a huge difference in your English.
We'll be back soon with more episodes and more fun topics to talk about. And please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share if you found this English conversation useful.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you next time.